Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back here on the industry stage at the Formnext 2024. And we are on day 4 and have fantastic topics in front of us. You know what the problem with AI is? Everybody talks about it. Every one of us is using it already. And most of us are using it the wrong way. Because actually, we do not understand really of how to truly get most out of AI in a structured and organized manner. Our next speaker is interestingly not very much into additive manufacturing, but even more in artificial intelligence, its implementation, and more importantly, the framework you need to have in order to use it properly. He will guide us into the topic, providing us with a better understanding to shape future approaches. Please welcome with me on stage Sebastian Heinz, who is founder and CEO of Stretworks. Sebastian, stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Sebastian. I'm the founder of Stretworks and also here from Frankfurt, the founder of the so-called AI Hub Frankfurt, which is a network for companies from the region who are using artificial intelligence and want to accelerate their adoption of the technology. So today we are in this presentation at least not going to talk about additive manufacturing, but we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and more precisely the future of artificial intelligence. So in the next 20 minutes I'm going to give you at least my perspective of how the near future of AI could look like. Unfortunately, we do not have really time to look into the far future of AI, which is also a very interesting topic. But the near future, which is, of course, also very interesting. But let's start with a little assessment of the current situation. So I like to start my talks always with a funny meme. And I found this meme on the internet, which in my opinion pretty nicely reflects the current situation when it comes to AI. So there's a massive interest, a massive buzz and hype, obviously, around the technology. So I'm very sure also here, if you wander through the hall of the fair, you see a lot of companies that are using AI, that say they use AI in their products or services. They claim to be AI powered, and so on and so on and so on. However, there is also a little problem with AI at the moment. So in the last 2 years, many companies invested massive amounts of money into the technology. However, there's one big question open, and that question is, when exactly will AI create a substantial amount of value for the organization? And you can see that on the micro level, so at the organizational level, but you can also see it on a macroscopic perspective. So this is what I show you here in this couple of slides that I got from The Economist. And they basically analyzed, okay, do we already see any kinds of indication that AI is creating some kind of substantial value for a company? And the answer in this analysis is no. You cannot see it in the macroeconomic productivity, you cannot see it in the stock prices of the companies who are using it, and you cannot see it in the white-collar employment rates where everyone is talking about the AI is going to take away all of our jobs. So this is not happening at the moment. And this is exactly the big contradiction that most of the companies are facing at the moment. So everyone is investing, but the big value from the technology is still missing. And this is a problem, and this will also be a problem in 2025, where actually many of the experts are saying that the AI bubble is probably going to burst. So let's see if that will happen. But this is not the topic of my presentation today. I want to talk about the far and the near future of AI. So let's talk about the near future. So at the moment, when it comes to the overall AI development, we are still in the very, very early stages of the technology. So what we call artificial narrow intelligence. So narrow intelligence basically means that from the whole spectrum of our human intelligence, AI is capable of doing isolated tasks of intelligence. So for example, computer vision, like seeing or writing or text understanding and stuff like that. So isolated capabilities of human intelligence. But at the moment, we're not really capable to combine all of those isolated capabilities into some kind of general intelligence, right? And this is what everyone is talking about. Artificial general intelligence, kind of next step of the AI evolution, when that actually will happen. So many experts say that that might be in a time range within the next 5 years, that we see much more capable AI models that bring together all of those isolated capabilities and are then able to then even expand on the broader range of tasks. What I want to say with this slide and also with the next slide is that even though we are only at the very, very bottom, at the very, very start and beginning of the AI transformation, we still see amazing things that AI can already do, even though we are that early. And I brought 3 examples that I find very, very interesting and that also have an interesting perspective for the future. The first thing I want to talk about is agentic AI. So at the moment, for example, if you are using an LLM or a ChatGPT or whatever, we are still in a situation where we as humans, with our human intelligence, need to explicitly tell what the AI should do. For example, I don't know, create a briefing for a project that does this and this and that. Then the AI is basically presenting us some kind of like text or whatever, and then we need to engage in a little ping pong play with the AI until we get the result that we want. Right? So it's still very human intelligence heavy because the AI is still lacking the problem of a general problem solving capability. And this is one of the things that agentic AI can do. So agentic AI can also take a more abstract introduction or prompt and then basically breaking it down into the subparts of the problem and then starting to execute. And the big difference between agentic AI and the LLMs that we see today is that those agents are capable of also using tooling. Right? So they can also interact with third-party systems, they can crawl the web, they can scrape data, they can even build their own API requests to interact with any kind of external system. And this is a big moment for AI because those kinds of technologies are basically enabling to integrate AI far deeper into the value chain that compared to what we are seeing today. And this will probably also be the point where AI will hit a bigger momentum in terms of value creation, because at the moment we are still kind of scratching the surface of value, because like ChatGPT and other LLMs are very difficult to implement far or very deep into the value chain. So this is the first example that we will probably see the big breakthrough next year in 2025. The next thing that in the near future of AI will be a big thing is software engineering. So at the moment, we already are using AI for software engineering. Maybe some of you are also already doing it in a kind of co-pilot setting, like co-creation setting. Like the AI is recommending you chunks of code that you as a developer need to go through, and change some of the parts until it works and integrates nicely into your software. So this is what people are calling software 1.0. Like, from an abstract perspective, you basically, when you're writing a computer program, you're basically only exploring a very, very tiny area of what you could do in terms of software engineering. So if you are a programmer, you know that there are many ways where you that basically enable you to solve a specific problem using coding. But since you only have a very, very limited amount of time, and it takes also a lot of time to type into the computer, you can only explore a very, very tiny fraction of what's actually possible. And this, in my opinion, is the big breakthrough that AI will bring us in software engineering, that by using agentic AI, by using more advanced coding assistance, by using more autonomous AI programming software, we will be able to explore a much broader range of what's actually possible in software engineering. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but everything around us is based on software. Like this monitor is based on software, this camera is based on software, your mobile phones are based on software. So if AI would, for example, only bring like 10 to 20% acceleration of the software engineering process in general, we are living in a completely different universe, right? And this is also one of the tiny things that AI will bring in the near future, that the overall time to software, time to product will be accelerated, which also, of course, leads to a massive acceleration of product development processes all over the world. And I think this is a very, very interesting thing that we can look into the future, into the near future of AI. And the third example that I would like to always stress in my presentations is not only to use AI in business applications. So of course, many, probably all of you are only interested, okay, what can actually AI bring for my company? How can I save money? How can I make more money? How can I be more like timely, and so on and so on. But I think from a, again, broader perspective, probably the biggest impact that AI will have on us as humanity is the acceleration of the scientific process. So does any one of you know what this is? No? This is a nuclear fusion reactor. So this is one of the most promising technologies for the future of humanity in terms of creating electricity. And in that nuclear fusion reactor, you basically have a hot gas that is kind of spinning around in a so-called tokamak. And by spinning that hot gas around a big magnet in the middle, you basically create electricity. The problem with that is that in order to contain the gas into that kind of spinning, you need a very, very complex system of magnets that basically keep the hot gas containment. And this is a very difficult problem in terms of software engineering. And one of the things that, for example, researchers at Google DeepMind are working on, to use AI to basically stabilize that magnetic field around the hot gas in order that it can keep turning and create electricity. And this is just a very, very tiny example of AI and how it's used currently, already today, in the scientific process. Other examples include protein folding, and also, and this is the example that I brought here to maybe also tailor a little bit to the audience, in material sciences, in material discovery. So this is data from a recent study from the MIT, it's just like a couple of weeks old, where the following example happened. Like, one group of researchers was given an AI tool that basically recommends new materials. And the other group is basically doing their research like they've done before. And oh wonder, the group that used AI basically, and you can see it here in the data, created much, much more new materials in the same amount of time, had much more significant patent filings, and also that led to a higher number of product prototypes. So this is what you could expect. There are like hundreds of similar studies out there. The problem with that is that even though like the output by using AI was increased, we were seeing some negative side effects. And the main problem with that was that the group that used AI showed a large decrease in their worker satisfaction. Why is that? And the reason for that is the system basically recommended all of the interesting work to the researcher, and the researcher was basically only there to accept or decline the recommendation. So all of the cognitive work and all of the interesting stuff that researchers are doing was basically carried out by the AI itself. And we are seeing a lot of similar research results indicating that AI, first of all, is basically also capable of doing really creative research work for us. Okay, that's really cool. But on the other side, it has a tremendous impact on the way that we are working. And this is one of the, I think, very, very interesting things that we need to deal in the near future. How is it that we're going to integrate AI into our working processes to leverage the positive effects, but on the other side, integrate it in a way that we as humans actually have a purposeful job? So this is a very controversial topic that where's a lot of discussion at the moment. Another thing that I want to stress is if all of that is true, right? So if all of the big promises of AI become reality, that should lead in the near future into some kind of measurable macroeconomic impact on our productivity. So I showed you here some data from OECD countries over the last 50 years, where you basically see that the per worker productivity is steadily increasing. And this is due to technological advance, right? So 1 hour of work is generating more productivity year after year after year after year. The big question is, what will AI do to this curve? So will it just continue to linearly increase because at the end of the day AI is just another technology, or will it lead to a overproportionate increase of productivity? We don't know yet, but many of the experts are very sure that you actually must expect some kind of stronger proportionate effect over time. And at the same time, as productivity increases, we also see a decrease in the yearly working time of workers on a macroeconomic level. So this is again data from the last decades, and you can see, for example, especially in Germany, the time that people are working on a yearly basis is decreasing. And here again, we must pose the question, what will AI do to that curve? Everyone in Germany is talking about the 4-day week, so maybe AI is an amplifier or acceleration technology for that kind of development. Does it make sense to work less? I don't know, because if you take a look at the data, again, for Germany and also for Europe, all of us should probably work more in order to be competitive. But this is again that kind of contradiction of what we can expect from AI and what we are seeing on the macroeconomical perspective. Again, if all of that productivity increases is true, and if all of that leads to also new business models and new companies that are created around AI here in Germany and in Europe, we must pose the question, what does that mean in terms of dependency? So at the moment, all of the technologies that we are using around AI, 99% of it, is in terms of value creation dependent on the US. And the US does not only provide you the models, they also are in control of the infrastructure and the data to train the models. So all of the relevant layers of value creation are located in the US. And again, if we as Germany and Europe are willing to kind of use AI and to create value for our companies, to build new businesses, to create new value streams and new business models, we always must think that everything that will happen in these areas will be dependent on the US as of today. So the big question for Europe will be, what will be our core contribution to the AI development in the next decade? At the moment, we do not have an answer for that. At the moment, we're just consumers of AI and no producers. And this is a problem. There were some people who tried it. Aleph Alpha was one of them. They basically exited the AI race and started a different business model. So Aleph Alpha is now any longer a competitor on a global scale. There are only maybe 2 companies in Europe that are capable of contributing to the global AI development, and this is Mistral AI from Paris. And at the moment, interesting Black Forest Labs who have some kind of image model. But all of them are already under control of US investors. And this is also a problem here in Germany and Europe. We do not have the investing and venture infrastructure to actually be competitive to for example, the US or Asia. So, Quo Vadis Europe, this is again a look at the data, like the fraction of Europe GDP and market capitalization compared to the rest of the world, and we are on a decline here. Yeah? So we have a big structural problem in terms of innovation. And the next big wave of innovation is AI. So we must ask ourselves the question, what can we do in Germany and in Europe that actually takes that new kind of tool, that new kind of innovative technology, and that we are creating new value out of this technology for our country and basically for Europe, our continent. So, and our chance is probably we will not create any kind of competitor to OpenAI or something like that. This race is over already. But what we can do is we can leverage the technology in our businesses to actually increase the output that we are having to push these curves a little bit up. So this is, in my opinion, the big opportunity that we have at the moment. So in one sentence, AI is on one hand the biggest opportunity in terms of new value creation that we have in Germany and in Europe, but on the other side, probably also the biggest risk because of the dependency to the US and other corporations that are basically building the technology that all of our value creation is based on. So one last slide before my talk is over. So of course, all of that is a kind of speculation into the future. Most of the time, if you take a look in when people are projecting stuff into the future, they are heavily overestimating the short-term effects, but heavily underestimating the long-term effects of a technology. And this is probably also true for AI. At the moment, everyone, including me, is not really capable to say what AI will create in the next 10 or 20 years, right? But I'm very, very sure it will be much, much more profound and much more significant than what we can imagine today. And with those kinds of thoughts, I'm leaving you for the rest of the day. I hope everyone of you took at least one thing from my talk. Thank you very much for your attention.
Awesome. Hey, first of all, it was an awesome presentation.
Thank you.
But it leaves me, and that's the problem, it leaves me kind of scared.
Yes.
And I think this is what most of the time happens. So you're either totally excited or you are probably more on the scared side.
Yes.
I tell you why I'm scared. So what I was not aware of is the, let's say, focused control in the US. That was the first thing, but it's obvious.
Yeah.
If you think about the tools you are heavily using, it's Copilot, it's ChatGPT, and they're all US based basically. Yeah. And one thing, as I'm a leadership trainer, what really caught my attention was the thing that people using it are first frustrated in work, and that's the same experience I do. Because it has changed my business completely. So what I needed a day or two before, I do it now in, let's say, 30 minutes. Yep. But it's not that the same satisfaction, but you saved the time on the one hand, but you couldn't use your creativity, your input, you couldn't build it up. And one single question to sum it all up, will it destroy our creativity? Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I think in parts it will, and I think in other parts it will actually enhance the creative process. So I think a big moment that we will probably see next year will be conversational AI. So at the moment, probably also for you, you're typing in, your keyboard and you get something out and then you type back. So it's actually pretty uninteresting how you interact with the system. But, for example, also with the advanced voice mode of ChatGPT, you can engage in a conversation with the AI and then kind of create new ideas and ping-pong your ideas with it. So I'm using it exactly. Already. It's awesome. I think it's awesome. And this is a big amplifier for human creativity. And I think the big lack of creative work as of today when it comes to AI is the problem that we have this kind of communication barrier of the keyboard. But this will go away probably in next year or 2 or 3 years, and then we will be having a conversation with our AI assistants. And this will, I think, lead to an acceleration of our creativity and not to a decrease. So I think that will be my answer to this question. Sounds good for me, to me. So thank you so much, and the good thing is we will see you in our panel in just a few minutes. So stay tuned because you will get him again and his information in about, let's say half an hour. Sebastian, thank you so much. Big applause for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, you will get a short highlight block and then afterwards we will meet here again because we have another exciting topic to come. So stay tuned.